Within this tutorial, we'll explore how to use layer masks to get exactly what you want, where you want it on each layer of your composition. So my woman layer already has a layer mask because we put that on there as part of our selection process, but and I'm going to rename this, forest, and my city do not. So for each one of those, I'm going to highlight the layer and click the Add Layer Mask button down at the bottom of your Layers panel. You remember from our portrait unit where we briefly talked about layer masks, you want to make a change. You click on the layer mask, and for the time being I'm going to uncheck the eyeball here so we can see exactly what's happening. I'm going to click on the layer mask, and then you're going to use the foreground and the background color. Keep those as black and white. And if we choose a brush here, remember we can manipulate what kind of brush. So if you want kind of a scratchy effect or a stylized effect, you can go into brush types or brush presets. I'll let you explore that on your own. I'm just going to use a standard brush. I'm going to bring the hardness down. I'm going to bring the size up. And remember, you can use your bracket tools right to the right of your P key to make your brush larger or smaller. So since this is snapped to my layer mask of my woman layer, it should only edit what I see right here. So if my foreground color is set to black, that means that I will begin to erase what's seen in the city layer. I'm going to bring my opacity down to about 50% so I can do it gradually. A lot of times I'll bring it down to like 15 to 25% to really kind of have control of my editing process. The nice thing about layer masks is if you set it to black, that means we're slowly erasing. So if you can see that, taking away at a 50% level. If you want, again, to go more gradually or to go more severely, you could bump it down or up. And this allows me to keep some of this cool stuff that's going on, like on her body, but maybe I don't really want that severity on her face. So I'm just going to keep doing that until I'm satisfied with it. And you can see right here what's happening on my layer mask. So let's say I want to bring some of that back. I can just use this switch button right here to bring my foreground color back to white, which means add. And can add maybe some in her hair. So this push-pull tactic really allows us to refine and then get exactly the kind of effects that we want. There we go. All right, so if I was satisfied with that, I would just leave this one alone, come and turn this eyeball on, visibility on my top forest level. I'm going to click on the layer mask on my forest and do the same thing. So black is going to slowly take away. I'm going to drop this down a little bit more. Maybe I want to see a little bit more of her nose. Taking away, and if I want to, adding back. Can also make adjustments on lower layers with other layers with visibility turned on to see what this will look like as a whole piece. The last thing I want to show you, and we talked about it in the second tutorial a little bit, is just to keep in mind that for any of these photographs you can use the simple edits that are found in Photoshop to change the color and to change things like layer styles or filters or whatnot. So let's say I want to change the color of the city. I could go Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, and then bump the hue over and across to get something that I like more. I could also go to Filter, Filter Gallery, and then I could choose, while this loads, any of these stylized, easy to apply filters. And let's just say OK and see what it looks like. If I don't like it, I can always go Control Z. And this, if you look closely, you can notice the kind of subtle hatching and cross hatching that's going on this layer. Okay, the last thing that I'll show you is, or mention to you rather, is just before you're done, when you get this all the way that you want it to look kind of around the edges and think about cleaning up those edges. So for example, because of the different layers that I've attached or kind of synced with my woman layer, I can see places like right here, and there's kind of like this outer glow that I don't especially like. So I can always just click on the background copy. This is a layer mask and it will function the same way that these do. I'm going to bump my brush down, zoom in for more accuracy, and I am going to bump up my opacity and choose a little bit harder of a brush because I want kind of a hard line. Zoom in. Make sure that you're making the adjustment to the layer mask and then not to the actual layer, because the layer mask allows us to non-destructively edit or add things back. So this kind of gets rid of that fuzzy outer glow. Might be a good idea too, depending on how your selection of the hair went, to clean that up in places as well, so it looks intentional and not like you just forgot about it. I won't do all of this because I think you get the picture. That looks better already. Then I would file save it, and I have one double exposure image done. For this project, you will create two, focusing on using their fine edge tool to get a perfect or close to perfect selection, then using at least two photographs that are original to combine with your image, using blending modes, and then using layer masks as well.